So in this video, I'm going to show you how to expose a bad mix. Yeah.
Traptendo.
What is going on, guys? So nonetheless, it is a great free tool by Mastering the Mix, and it is available right now in September at pluginboutique.com, and it is called Expose, ironically. And it's a good tool for like the mastering process. Like if you print out a master and you want to check something that will be a probability of an issue in your mix when things get transcoded on something like Apple Music or Spotify or any other streaming site or anything, it's a great checks and balance tool to see if your mix is good or not. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the demonstration. Leave a comment below because I definitely want to hear from you guys. So this is how Expose looks like when you open it, and it's pretty simple and sweet. You see it says drop files here or click to search. So I'm going to go ahead and click to search. I'm going to load something that I already mastered, which is Suave's Twerk. And you know, I co-produced that joint. It's already on Apple Music and Spotify and all the other streaming sites. So you know, it's already out there for you to judge if the mix is bad or not. So you can do that. And when it loads up, you can see that the blue represents the good and the red represents bad. So that's a really good color to choose. And if I was to go to that area right now, let's hear how it sounds like and why it's like that and why it's a problem area.
I make it work. I make it work.
I don't know. It sounds pretty fine to me, and you know, you just got to use your ears too. But a lot of people are visual learners, so you know, this tool helps with that process if you are a visual learner. The thing is, you got to make sense of these things, and you might have to go over here to this little bolt nut thing, and you will just click on the settings and make sure that everything is set up. You see that it has show tooltips, and I'm going to get into that. And if you do mess with some of the settings, you can restore it to back to normal, and then you just click to save and get up out of there. So anyways, other than that though, just showing off the tooltips for itself, you just highlight a specific area and it will tell you. So right now, I'm going to get into this process here. I'm going to go over to another view. All right, so we're back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the tooltip again. It says Apple Music is the setting that I'm using, and down here you can select different things that you want to select. Of course, if you go to broadcast, you can select, you know, stuff for Netflix, and as you can see, that for Netflix is just all red because it's just too loud for Netflix, and you can fix those things back in your DAW. So, you know, that is really cool. I wish you could fix it in here. I think that would make more sense. That might be my only con for this so far. But if you go to like something like SoundCloud, you can see, you know, the problematic areas are a little different than it would be for Apple Music. You can also go into the mastering area right here and go into Spotify, and it still looks the same. So everything like streaming, I guess, would probably be a little different. Going into CD here, you see that CD is a little bit more forgivable. But we need to go ahead and talk about this area right here because that is where everybody's going to be a little bit confused. So we have 4 specific areas that we are covering in the mastering process here. And, you know, once again, if you select something down here, which in the mastering area, you go like, I'm just going to go to Apple Music again. And, you know, we're going to talk about these 4 things right here, which is loudness, which is the first one. Then this one is peak. So, you know, it will tell you about true peak measured in decibels, true peak or whatnot. And this next one is stereo field, left and right stereo, separated heat maps and stuff like that. So, you know, if everything is balanced so it doesn't sound stupid when you're in a car or too thin or some areas or you use too much stereo separation in your vocals, will you be able to hear it in all like devices that you would listen to or in a studio or a club or something like that. Last one, dynamic range, you know, short-term dynamic range, loudness range measured up in loudness units. And this first one again is like LUFS or whatnot. So what are LUFS? Which is LUFS, which is loudness units relative to full scale. And the measurement scale is extremely accurate at displaying the perceived loudness of an audio material. Of course, that is like the definition of it or whatnot. I'm just reading off my iPad. But, you know, just the thing is that it calculates the given amount of loudness so that you are closer to 0 in your track or whatnot. And you might want to pay attention to that because if you have your tracks too loud, it will sound very bad on certain things like PA systems. I know a lot of us like to have loud mixes, but as far as my mix goes, it's not really an issue. As you can see, it's not highlighted in red. What is an issue is my true peaks.
I make it twerk. I make it work.
Just a little issue right there, you know, some oversampling, I guess, you know, from the 808 or whatever. And, you know, it's clipping. What technically is what it's saying is clipping that red part. So that true peak is where it's reading at. If we was to talk about true peaking, of course, all music created digitally in the DAW to be converted back into analog, you know, something like that. You know, you want to be mindful of clipping, you know, above 0 dB. Most minor speakers can handle a little bit of clipping, but at the same time, if you don't want certain things to sound distorted, you want to have some headroom is what it's saying in a nutshell. So, you know, if you're checking that. Stereo field is, it's pretty simple and sweet. You're just making sure that you can hear it on your left and right ear. You know, we're not talking about movies and stuff like that where we're mixing in 5.1 or anything like that. We're just talking about listening to music on your headphones or AirPods or however you like to listen to them. Other than that, you also have dynamic range, and dynamic range is important, and not too many tracks have dynamic range. But you see right here, if you just look at the waveform here, that I'm not clipping everything out of here, but I do want to pull up another project or something like that might have that issue. As you can see, there is a lot of peaking right here, and there is a lot of loudness once it gets into the track. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a little bit of it.
It's something that got me feeling away.
So it's quite loud, and you know, it's a pre-master. When I did make this track, I made it louder because, you know, the artist wants to hear it as loud as possible. And so, you know, I am checking certain things like balance, and you can see that this is very problematic when you're using certain things to make your stuff louder. And I can't really think of a plugin that's randomly something like the L2 or something like that, which, you know, we use the ultra maximizers to bring out the bottom end a lot. Yeah, and even when you are mixing something in Ozone 8 or whatever version of Ozone you have a maximizer, and you know, you got to be mindful that when you do use maximizers, that you can make stuff extremely loud, and that's pretty much what that is telling you right here, is that it is extremely loud. But you know, the dynamic range is there, but again, you have to be very mindful of it. So if I was to go over there to dynamic range and highlight that, and just click on it and highlight it, you can see you know, balance, dynamic range, 10 DR, actually 8.1. Parts of your audio is too compressed for this preset. You could reduce the amount of compression or the limiting to increase the dynamic range. So I do need to increase the dynamic range rather than just to decrease it or just to remove it or whatever. So, you know, I could do that. Also right here, if I look at this area in particular, the true peak, negative dBTP, as far as true peak, so that's decibels true peak, and actual 1.5. And then it's telling you right here that we recommend at least -5 dB TP and of headroom in the mix. This will give your audio some space needed for the mix to change in the mastering process. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and check out another one here. I'm going to go ahead and dig out another song that I'm working on, another unreleased song. I really don't want to do it, but, you know, I think it would help everybody if they hear a little bit of something that, you know, is in the pre-master process. So we have another track here. It's by Alamar, another artist that is going to be pretty big next year. And this is Guard Your Soul. I've actually played this before on my channel. So I'm letting everything calculate. And as you can see, there are some problematic areas, of course, and you can see them there. But it doesn't look like the track is that crazy because it hasn't been overly processed.
Arm yourself at all times.
Perfect.
Back against the ropes, feeling like Muhammad. Eye out for pocket watches, brooding at my profits.
Hey.
You can hate, but you
So again, we have this problematic area right here. You know, what you do, just go over here and let the tooltips tell you what it is. So, you know, for mastering for Apple Music or whatnot, the true peak is -1 decibels true peak. So, and you know, again, Apple Music trend codes your audio before streaming. During this process, the peaks often increase for some reason. We advise that you leave it a little bit under or -1 dB, so you have headroom. So tell me how you feel about this, guys. Again, it's a great checks and balance tool if you want to put stuff on streaming sites, because, you know, certain things get lost in translation, especially when you are transcoding things, or when Apple Music and Spotify transcode, or Netflix or anything like that. that you know of some of the problems that might persist when you go into the mastering process or when you send the final project over. So again, Expose does a great job of that. And even if you want to mix like a regular song, I think it's a pretty decent tool for that. And I mean, it's free right now. So hurry up, September, hurry up and get something from Plugin Boutique. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on a great free tool.
Look how she twerk. Look how she work. Look how she work. Look how she twerk. Look how she work. I made it work. I make it twerk. I make it work. I make it twerk. Look how she twerk. Look how she work.